What's up, Code Crew? In this video, I'm going to be explaining whether or not I think cybersecurity certifications are worth it. I have personally spent quite a bit of money on cybersecurity training and certificates, and not to put an exact number on it, it is a 5-digit number, and it is something that I am going to probably continue pursuing. I kind of grew up a rebel, right? Hence the channel name Nar Coding. I used to spend my days at a graffiti park, skateboarding all day, making electronic music, and that was a large portion of my life for my young adulthood. And of course, eventually I went broke and had to find a way to make money, so I started getting into some trading, and then that led to algorithmic trading, which led to coding, eventually leading me down a path where I found out I had a pretty natural skill for cybersecurity. I actually had completed back in, I want to say 2020, 2021, a certificate from a boot camp from MIT, or so they say, on full stack web development. And that was a very fulfilling journey. I did, however, find that a lot of the skills I had learned had come from my own initiative. I had started learning web development before I got into the boot camp, so I already knew a lot of the stuff. I was way ahead. But I did find there was a lot of frustration for me when it came to things like Node, when it was just a terminal, right? We had briefly touched on OpenSSL for, encryption and whatnot, and that really fascinated me. So from that point on, I started focusing more on the security aspects of web development. Eventually, I got hit up by a recruiter on LinkedIn for a role as a teacher assistant for a cybersecurity boot camp here in the United States. And while only being a teacher assistant, I quickly found out amongst my peers that my skill level wasn't as low as I had thought it to be. I figured out that my web development experience had given me some tolerance or a callus for persisting on in tasks that require you to try harder. And as you can imagine, in cybersecurity, you're trying to get into things or protect things, and things don't always work. And it's really easy to feel like you just suck. And you know what? Maybe you do. Maybe I did suck too, those times that I got stuck. And as long as you keep trying and you try to solve the problem, you won't suck as bad. And eventually you might be good enough to be hireable. So on the topic of whether or not I think cybersecurity certificates are worth it, it's going to come down into what your personal goals are, right? My goal was never to get a job. My goal was always to kind of be like building my own stuff and creating my own products. So when I was pursuing certificates, it was really for the knowledge. Yeah, you can go and learn everything for free, but now you're going to have to weave through everyone trying to sell you something. You're going to have to weave through, is this the right information for what you want to do with your career or with your personal time? And it's just a lot of distraction from actual learning, right? When you sign up for a course or a certificate program, by the way, there's no certificate or course I'm going to link you to in this video, right? Like, I'm way too early in my YouTube career to be doing that. So there's nothing to sell, right? Just to let you know. Yeah, so when you end up going into a course, right, they're basically laying out the roadmap for you. A good course, right? They will lay out the roadmap for you. First, we're going to start here, then we're going to build upon it here, and then you're going to build something bigger here, and then by the end, you will know all of these things. That takes away a lot of the distraction. However, it takes away a lot of the fun, right? Because when you're just out there on your own trying to learn things, everything's so shiny, right? Like, oh, I can learn how to hack this. I can learn how to hack that. I can learn how to, crack passwords. I can learn how to get root access with Metasploit and all this stuff. But you're just learning like the surface level of what's happening underneath, right? Like when you're copying a key into a network file system to give yourself access, that is a very normal operation for organizations who are looking to just share files, right? You didn't have to learn hacking to know that technique, right? You could have just learned the basics of Linux, and you would already from there, if you can kind of put your perspective in the mind of the attacker, how these things can be exploited. You can learn everything for free, right? And if you're willing to go through all the distractions and all the noise and the ads, and also understanding that you may be compromising a deeper fundamental understanding of what you are doing on the terminal or whatever technology you're using, if you're okay with all those things, then a certificate's not worth it for you, right? Because what's going to happen is you're going to spend the money and then you're going to feel like you wasted your time and your money when you could be out there learning it for free. It's like buyer's remorse. So that also leads me to another point, that certificates are only worth it for you if you can afford them, right? Like if you can completely afford to pay for this certificate and this training and it not affect you financially or feel like you're going to be strapped for the next however many months to pay it off. If you have the money set aside and you're willing to spend that money the same way that you would feel buying a new PlayStation 5, for example, you're not going to buy a PlayStation 5 and be playing it and be like, oh man, I wish I had saved my money, right? You're enjoying the experience. So to find that enjoyment in the experience, you have to appreciate what's being offered in the package, right? So I've taken certificates from CompTIA. I have a Security Plus. I have a Pen Test Plus as well. I have numerous GIAC certifications. I have security fundamentals. I have incident handling. I have Python. And I forget, honestly, because I did not get the certificate to be like, I have some acronym on my LinkedIn profile. I really got the certificate because I was like, I want to know this stuff to the core, right? And when you go through a program or some course that's offering you a path, it's making it really easy for you to make decisions as to where you should spend your time. But again, this is only going to feel, that experience is only going to feel like that if you could sacrifice the cash. Learn for free while you can, right? But my general conclusion is that certificates are worth it. Where you get the certificate from is not something that I feel entitled to say, because there's so many different organizations and I don't want you guys to feel like I have a bias towards any of them just because I spent my money there. And that's also another problem, is that there's so many different certificates, there's so many different offerings and courses. It's kind of like, where do you start? You know what I mean? So you'll have to do some research to see if there is a organization where they have certificates where they kind of like say, do this one first, and then you can do this one, and then you can do this one, and then you have like this like set of armor and ammo that you can use when you're out in the workforce field or whatever projects or products you're trying to build. Another thing with certificates and courses is that they're typically not very fun. So these courses and these certificates that you get when you're going through the training can be extremely boring, right? Because you're not at the terminal, right? You're not doing the thing that you thought you were doing. You're not doing the thing that you're hoping to be doing later on. You're just reading all these concepts and all these terminologies and these protocol acronyms, and it's like, where's the actual hands-on experience? And then typically there'll be like one lab at the end after you absorb so much material, right? And that is boring, but I want you to know, like sincerely, that it is more important than the labs, for real. Because the lab's going to change. In a few years, some software is going to update, and those commands that you spent so much time trying to remember so you could feel like a hacker are going to be gone. They're going to update somehow. But if you had internalized the steps, the procedure, the methodology to how some exploit or how some defense is executed, then it's with you for life until the protocol changes. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of power in being able to be comfortable reading boring material. Just to kind of give you an idea here, like let me go grab some of my books. All right, here's the first stack, right? Here's the next stack. Here's the next stack. And here's the last stack. And this doesn't include what I've done digitally, okay? Right? Here, let me see if we get the camera. I've read all this material in about a year and a half, okay? That doesn't include the labs. That doesn't include my personal projects. It's a lot to go through. And imagine reading all this, right? It's boring, bruh. It's like really boring. But those boring skills, those wax on, wax off exercises have gotten me to a point to where I can just come up with projects on the fly and present them to you in like a 10 to 20 minute video, and it seems so easy. so easy I get haters in the comments saying that I don't know what I'm doing because it looks like child's play. So let me put these books back. All right, let me get back. All right, I kind of got a little heated there, but you see how passionate I am about this stuff, right? So I came from web development, got into cybersecurity, went super hard into it, and my goal was never to get a job. My goal was always to learn, and I knew and I believed that if I could find the right certificates, I could learn what I wanted to know so I can have the talents that I desire, not for what my potential employee, my potential employer may desire. Now, some of you guys may be like, but I want a high paying job. And I totally get that. And that's why I never come on this channel like, oh, if you want to get a high paying job in cybersecurity, follow these steps, right? Because I don't do that, right? Like I literally just wanted to learn how to make computers do really cool stuff. And hacking was just like, I always thought that was cool since I was a kid, right? Since I was a teenager. I thought the terminal and the black on the green and the matrix code, I thought all that stuff was awesome. So it was always for my own personal desire. Coming from always being an artist, making YouTube content and basically giving you the plethora and thousands of dollars that I've invested into cybersecurity out to you for free is literally just my way of creating my dream job. You see what I mean? So I have a membership open. It's literally just like $3, I think. It's to be instead of a participant, it's a narticipant, right? So if you join that, right, like you're helping build the mission for myself to continue giving out this value for free. So you can use me as a guide to learn cool stuff while you consider whether or not a certificate is for you. So if you're looking to get a job, then definitely a certificate is something that you should get. Something that I can give you as a tip is that look for the job you want, go through the job description, and they'll typically have which certificates that they desire or require you to have. And from there, boom, you already know where to start. Now you may look at the certificate and be like, oh, but I need to get this one as a prerequisite. Okay, so go get that one as a prerequisite. Now you've eliminated distraction. You've set an end goal, right? Like you started with the end in mind. If I want to get a job as a SOC analyst, right? Well, go look for SOC analyst jobs. Go through the job description. See if they have certificates that they require. Go get those. Now, something with certificates is that they don't always assume that you're coming from zero, right? A lot of the certificate programs I've seen, again, no names, they always assume that you have like some basis with computers and maybe Linux as well. So while you're saving up the money to go get a certificate, you should also be spending some time learning some Linux basics. There's tons of free material out there on Linux basics. I actually first learned Linux from Occupy the Webs or Hackers Arise, Linux Basics for Hackers. Highly recommend that book. I don't know how up to date it is anymore, but for me, I felt cool reading it. I was like, oh, I'm learning Linux for hackers, right? But that Linux Basics, along with my MIT bootcamp certificate, landed me a job as a teacher assistant for a cybersecurity bootcamp, right, on a university level. So I also instructed several times, and I always had fabulous reviews. And it was actually that experience that kind of got me thinking like, hey, maybe I should just start making my own content, right? So it's interesting how life works itself out, right? Coming from a guy who just always out on the streets, basically, unless I was making music, to being at a point to where I've read thousands of pages of material. I understand on a pretty good level, I think, how to make computers work, how to make computers break, and delivering it in a way that brings value to the world. So this channel has grown significantly over the past few months, and honestly, just from this alone, I believe all my certificates that I've spent money on and all the courses and training that I've put my money on have been worth it, because I'm seeing it through you guys as that reward. So yeah, man, certificates are totally worth it if you can afford it, you know, and you're going to be saving yourself a lot of time. You're going to be saving yourself a lot of distraction. Again, if you don't know which certificate to get, think about which job you might want, right? Go look for that job description and then see what certificates are there. Start from there. In the end, though, I think the ultimate thing is to be comfortable being bored, right? Like, don't chase the shiny hacks, right? Because that's just going to distract you from the fundamentals. And those fundamentals are what's really going to allow you to be dynamic in any environment or with any task. And with that, guys, I hope you had a insightful experience. Next week will be way more fun with some cat memes coming up and some encryption coming up. I think you're going to have fun with it. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.